Good afternoon to all the distinguished members of the jury, the President of the jury, Professor Dr. Maria Madalena Aguiar da Cunha Matos, Professor Dr. Joana Cunha, Professor Dr. Rui Miguel, Professor Dr. Maria João Delgado, and Professor Dr. Cristina Figueiredo, to the esteemed supervisors, Professors Dr. Johnny Montagna and Maria João Felix, and to the audience. It is truly an honor to have you all here on this important occasion. I am here today to share the fruits of my research journey, a journey that unfolded in an effort to understand and enrich the field of textile design with the thesis titled, Higher Education in Textile Design in Portugal in the 21st Century, Contributions to the Development of Creative and Pedagogical Processes. It is with great satisfaction that I share the conclusions of this research today, in the hope that they will contribute to the advancement of textile design education and practice in Portugal and beyond. May this be just the beginning of a continuous journey of learning and discovery in this fascinating field of knowledge. I now invite you to join me in this narrative of discovery and reflection. This thesis is out of fashion. Yes, because textile design goes far beyond the realm of fashion, it unfolds into a tapestry of possibilities, such as agriculture, construction, clothing, geology, interiors, industry, medicine, mobile objects, environmental protection, packaging, personal protection, as well as sports and leisure. It is within these diverse fields of application of textile design that this research is positioned. It thus intertwines within the field of design, specifically in design education, and focuses on textiles in Portugal. One of its aims is to develop strategies that promote closer links between designers, academia, industry, and society. This research examined educational systems and sought new and distinctive perspectives for a society in transition. Students are different, as are the ways in which they learn. This calls for new approaches to education, new teaching methods that prepare citizens to reflect on knowledge rather than simply memorize it, while respecting human and cultural ecosystems as well as biodiversity and the planet. This research, initially more chaotic, presents the organization of the work carried out, concluding with the findings and future recommendations. The structure of the work is divided into three main sections. Why? Divided into two parts. The first part is introductory, the second integrates fundamental research in relation to the three fields of knowledge, textile design, and higher education. How? Where the results of the applied research conducted are presented. What? Where the final outcomes are showcased, including a proposed teaching learning model for textile design. Finally, the conclusions, future recommendations, and dissemination efforts are presented. It begins with the warping of the story, the why. And why is it important for this research? Textiles have a close relationship with human beings. Since we are born, one of our first contacts with the world is through textiles. They are part of our DNA. The clothes we wear every day are primarily made of fibers that are processed into fabrics. They represent the wisdom and skill of man to transform a simple material into something extraordinary. The fiber is the most important unit that makes up a garment. It's where it all begins. Today we live in a world that we know is changing rapidly. New environmental, economic, technological, cultural, ethical, and social challenges emerge every day, increasing the complexity of the problems. As already mentioned, this research focuses on three fields of knowledge. One is textile design, which encompasses all the different and diverse objects that we use in our daily lives. Another is design, the field of knowledge in which I am specializing. And finally, higher education, which is about developing skills and competencies. So, it is at the intersection of these three fields of knowledge that the proposed teaching learning model for textile design emerges. In the chapter dedicated to textile design, the thread of the history of the Portuguese textile industry and professional training in the field under study enabled an understanding and identification of the fundamental competencies of the textile designer. In the chapter dedicated to design, the research of teaching learning methods in the design process and design practices provided an insight into the current challenges facing higher education in design. Finally, in the chapter on higher education, the analysis of national academic curricula in the field studied, including 3 European universities, Central St. Martin's, the Swedish School of Textiles, and the Accademia di Belle Arti Aldo Galli, together with research on the future of education, enabled the development of a holistic view of higher education in textile design. Before going into more detail, I would like to give an overview of higher education in Portugal in the field under study. Higher education in design for the textile and clothing industry is relatively new in Portugal. The first bachelor's degree in architecture fashion design dates back to 1991 and was offered at fall in the 1992 to 1993 academic year. Currently, of the 8 existing bachelor's degrees, only 2 deal with textile design, the Bachelor in Fashion and Textile Design at ISART and the Bachelor in Fashion and Textile Design and Production at ISMET. At the master's level, only 2 of the 7 existing programs focus on this field, the Master in Textile Product and Accessories Design and Innovation at UMinho and the Master in Clothing and Textile Design, which is offered in partnership between ISART and FAL. However, there is no program that focuses specifically on the field of textile design. However, the development of textile products has always been an integral part of Portuguese culture. It is an inseparable cog in the wheel of national industry. The textile industry is considered one of the oldest and most traditional national industries, 1836, and is still one of the largest and most important economic sectors today, as it contributes to the creation of wealth and employment. In 2023, according to the National Statistics Institute, this industry accounted for 17.6% of the total national manufacturing sector and, according to the Portuguese Textile Association, recorded an export volume of €503 million, which underlines the importance of this sector in the social and economic weave of Portugal. Nevertheless, it is scientifically recognized that this industry is in a process of transition. New challenges are emerging that affect it in areas such as sustainability, the circular economy, decarbonization, and digital transition, with these representing the main priorities for the sector both in the current and future perspective. The textile designer, in turn, can play an important role by designing solutions for a sustainable and regenerative textile system, making their role more complex, but also more challenging. To achieve this, it is also important to strengthen the relationship between academia and industry and promote collaboration and knowledge sharing. The main objective was formulated on the basis of this framework. To design a proposal for a teaching learning model, that is, a curricula, which enables greater coordination between the various stakeholders, effectively linking the needs of the creative textile industry, designers, and users, with clear benefits in terms of competitiveness of the sectors involved. This leads to the hypothesis. A multidisciplinary and multifaceted academic curricula that focuses primarily on higher education in textile design could more effectively meet the needs of students, designers, and the creative textile industry and bring industry, academia, and users closer together. Its main question is, how can higher education in textile design be a driver for creative and pedagogical processes and promote advancements in the economy and industry? Therefore, this research is considered relevant as higher education in textiles needs to be structured through a triangular approach that takes into account the needs of the increasingly demanding business market, the multidisciplinary teaching learning needs of students, and a hierarchically organized and focused structure of knowledge areas offered by national academia and embedded in an international network of higher education. This research provides a significant contribution both to the study of design in a pedagogical area that is still underexplored at the national level and to education, where it will fill a gap in the national higher education curricula aligned with the needs of academia, industry, and society. After explaining the why, let's continue weaving our story by asking how. It is important to note that the methodology is a tool for finding answers to the main questions. Thus, this research adopts a mixed methodology based on a qualitative approach. It is applied research with an emphasis on a constructivist approach based on a practical, participatory, and reflective methodology. It is structured in 3 phases that include different methods that make up the contextual knowledge field. Thus, the exploratory phase concerns the why. The how is related to the generative phase. The evaluative phase concerns the what. Finally, the results obtained were intertwined with the research questions and hypothesis, contributing to the conclusions, analysis of results, and recommendations. Having framed the fundamental research and the structure of this research, the time has come to explore how I will gather contributions to address the existing questions. At this stage, the main doubts lie in how to structure a proposal for a teaching learning model in textile design. What are the essential competencies that a textile designer should acquire? Will there be space for such a training program? And now we enter the applied research phase, which is where I will focus. To seek answers to the remaining questions, I went to listen to people. First, to the students. I wanted to understand the gaps and strengths they identified on their academic journey. To this end, I conducted a survey from October 2020 to January 2021, which was sent to course instructors to share with students and received 150 responses. Students indicated a need to deepen their knowledge in more theoretical areas such as philosophy, history, and sociology, as well as more technical areas such as pattern making, garment construction, styling, and materials. They also miss knowledge in management, such as marketing and entrepreneurship, in order to feel better prepared for the professional environment. Next, the experts. I wanted to understand if there are gaps in the qualifications of professionals and gather suggestions for improvement. To this end, I conducted a semi-structured interview with 11 experts in May and June 2021. I have come to the conclusion that a higher education course in textile design should integrate a range of multidisciplinary knowledge, from the more technical aspects such as materials, craftsmanship, industrial processes, and textile processes to complementary areas such as management, marketing, costs, planning, and others, including knowledge from the design universe. I also realized that themes such as sustainability, circular economy, and digital technologies should be an integral part of the proposal. Design activity is a team effort. It is a collaborative process. Therefore, qualities such as autonomy, entrepreneurship, interaction, proactivity, empathy, ethics, and others should be present. I have also noticed that the profession of designer is becoming more valued in the industry as well as in the society. In addition, the designer should also be a decoder, mediator, and problem solver. To better understand the application of academic concepts in an industrial setting, knowledge should be put into practice in a real environment, perhaps even through a dual education model between academia and industry. Finally, and no less importantly, I have realized that there is room in Portugal for a higher education course in textile design to meet the current and future needs and challenges of the sector. When I had reached this stage and had fewer doubts, I drew up a first draft of a possible teaching learning model for textile design, which I presented to a focus group for discussion. This group included companies from the industry, interface centers, and academia. The idea was to hold only one session, but after the first session in May 2022, and thanks to the input received, I realized that the proposal was still under-researched. I therefore returned to the research, restructured the original draft, and held a second session in October 2022. This was a very important moment for the growth of this research and to ensure that it really contributes to the production of new knowledge. As a main conclusion, the participants mentioned that this new proposal is on the right track and should be further explored without losing its flexibility. This new proposal includes active learning, with teaching methods based on practice and integrating theoretical components, teaching students to learn, but also valuing the role of teachers, who should also teach to learn. The curriculum is flexible through the inclusion of electives and adapts to students' ambitions and interests. It incorporates a hybrid teaching model that allows for optimization of resources and takes advantage of an established critical mass while giving students the opportunity to restudy content. It is critical to strengthen relationships between academia, knowledge centers, and industry to enable differentiated teaching strategies, providing students with real-world experience to better understand technological frontiers through a collaborative dialogue between creativity and production. In this way, it was possible to validate the research carried out and move on to the next phase. At the conclusion of this narrative, the what? I will now explain the proposed teaching learning model in textile design that has been designed. But before that, to obtain a critical opinion on its feasibility, I conducted a focus group in June 2023, as its evaluation will require a longer period. It is important to stay focused, as this is a course in textile design, not fashion design. And it is a proposal for the first cycle. How is it done and how is it proposed? I will begin by presenting the profile. It is assumed that the textile designer is a professional who independently has the competence to understand the professional context and practice of textile design. They should know how to combine technique and creativity, demonstrating artistic skill and the ability to critically reflect, recognize, formulate, and propose solutions to problems related to design. As main activities, this professional should be capable of conceiving and developing textile objects, applying methodologies, techniques, and tools, communicating products, ideas, problems, and solutions, promoting innovation and development activities, evaluating, relating, integrating, and applying knowledge, using computer systems, collaborating in the construction and evaluation of prototypes, managing research and information gathering. The proposed model, therefore, does not ignore a hybrid teaching model in which learning takes place between in-person and the virtual space. It is proposed to be bilingual, as the textile and clothing industry is predominantly export-oriented and knowledge of English is essential for practicing the profession. Methodologically, the focus is on a theoretical and theoretical-practical learning approach, learning by doing, which combines the acquisition of theoretical knowledge with its simultaneous application in interdisciplinary projects, supported by tutorials. And how does this happen? The model is supported by 3 interconnected learning blocks. After all, learning is continuous and never isolated. Foundational, focused on the philosophy and culture specific to design. It takes place during the first and second years. Core, centered on textile materials and techniques. It primarily focuses on the first year. Specific, aimed at developing specific skills in the different areas of textile design. It takes place throughout the entire academic journey. The first year focuses on experimentation. It provides creative, technical, and cultural tools, along with the preparatory knowledge needed to understand and manage the creative process. The second year focuses on immersion. It is structured as a moment of deepening, where methods, tools, and theoretical knowledge are experienced through guided project activities. The cultural and specific subjects support the development of the design process phases. The third year is dedicated to consolidation. Students tackle more complex topics and acquire advanced tools for the development and communication of a project, learning to manage the different phases of idea development while cultivating their own design autonomy. As can be seen, the model was designed to allow students to shape their own learning experience. It is a flexible model that incorporates elective disciplines, enabling students to personalize their academic and professional profile according to their interests. Design is an activity in which teamwork is essential, and this should also begin within the academy. In this regard, 2 disciplines are proposed for the entire academic pathway. The Design Textile Studio combines theory with practice. It focuses on project-based learning oriented to real-world problems and is to be taught by 2 lecturers with complementary profiles, one focused on design, the other on materials, to teach students the importance of teamwork, collaborative work, and adaptability. Each semester will focus on a central theme, such as sustainability, to enable faster adaptation of content to the evolving needs of industry, society, and the planet. The Design Fab Lab aims to consolidate and deepen knowledge in the topics already covered, transforming the role of the lecturer into that of a mentor. It integrates various active teaching and learning strategies, such as boot camps, seminars, workshops, mini-internships, company and trade fair visits, factory labs, teaching factories, and much more. With this approach, students can not only acquire specific skills, but also learn to communicate effectively, work in teams, share ideas, and develop autonomy and responsibility. The relationship between academia and industry is critical to the success of this strategy. The aim of this model is not to train students to become masters of weaving or any other specific technique, but to train them into designers who also understand the production processes and are able to evaluate and compare different options and their consequences. Learning and practicing becoming a textile designer is therefore about dealing intensively with both the creative and the production process. Concluded the weaving of the story, we reach the moment of the conclusions. Based on the main research question, how higher education in textile design can mobilize creative and pedagogical processes and promote advancements in the economy and industry, the main conclusions are drawn. The results of the research suggest that there is a need for specialized education in textile design. The world and society are crying out for change in various spheres: environmental, economic, technological, ethical, and social. And there is no planet B. The textile designer, for his part, can weave a more sustainable and creative industry, as he has the ability to significantly influence the environmental impact of textile objects through conscious choices. There is still a gap between the academic world and the professional world. It is important to establish a solid link between these two worlds to reduce the lack of understanding of the possibilities of a designer's work and research in the academia. There is a need for a more disruptive, collaborative, and flexible teaching approach that combines theory, practice, and social responsibility in an integrated and interdisciplinary way to educate designers capable of responding to the increasingly complex problems of society and the planet. There is no specialized offer in textile design in Portugal, with the proposed model fills this gap, thus weaving a new chapter between academia and the national textile industry. Expanding the scope of educational service design, which can be extended to other areas of knowledge. Furthermore, this research now makes it possible to start a discussion on changing the paradigm of teaching textile design, adapted to the needs of academia, industry, and society. To conclude, it has been demonstrated that it was possible to achieve the set objectives, answer the research questions, and validate the hypothesis, confirming that a specialized education in textile design can more effectively meet the needs of students, designers, and the textile creative industry, bringing together industry, academia, and users. Remembering Charles Owen's statement, "Design is not a separator, but an integrator." So, what's next? As next steps, I plan to continue the work developed with presentation of the textile design teaching learning model to national HEIs with training in the design field, development of curricular sheets for the disciplines, implementation and monitoring of the proposed model, establishment of collaborative partnerships between academia, industry, and the community, creation of international agreements to allow the offering of joint curricula. As future research, continuation of this model with the design of a specialization, postgraduate or master's, in more specific areas of textile design, such as knitwear design, woven design, technical and functional textiles, among others. Ongoing academic and scientific research in the field of textile design and education, an area still underexplored at the national level. Dissemination. During the research, 10 articles were published at international conferences, 11 chapters in international books, 2 articles in international journals, 1 poster, and 1 lecture. I would like to conclude with this thought by Gandhi. The future depends on what we do in the present.
Thank you.